Hello, this is Marc Medley, host of The Reading Circle with Marc Medley, as well as author of The Critical Thinker. And every now and again, a post will be, in my view, so important that I will take it away from just pen and paper and actually make an audio version. And this is another one of those cases. The latest post that I had in The Critical Thinker was where I stand on whose lives matter. And this issue was so important to me that I felt it was one that I would put in the podcast or the audio version for you not only to read, but to listen to. So I'm going to read verbatim what's in the post, The Critical Thinker, and you can read it for yourself at the site thereadingcircleblog.blogspot.com. It was posted on Saturday, August the 8th, 2015, and the title is Where I Stand on Whose Lives Matter. For the past months, we have been hearing about how Black lives matter, police lives matter, gay and lesbian lives matter, fetuses' lives matter, women's lives matter, and so forth and so on. The truth of the matter is, all lives matter. However, I'm not naive enough to believe that all lives have mattered in the past, or for that matter, all lives matter now. In fact, the reason each group began segmenting themselves and crying out that their particular group's lives mattered is because each group is feeling ignored or as if their lives do not matter because they are a part of a certain group. When you really critically think about it, why should any group have to cry out that their lives matter? Isn't the fact that we are all human beings enough to make our lives matter? Apparently not. Let's take a look at this from a biblical perspective. Let's connect a few biblical dots to see how they tie in with us today. In Matthew chapters 18 and 19, we get a very clear view of how all lives matter when Jesus explains to his disciples that we are to become like children, and that whoever takes the lowly position of a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. That means all lives. In another scenario, people brought little children. Remember, children represent us, to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But his disciples tried to turn the people with the children away. I guess their lives didn't matter in the disciples' eyes. When Jesus saw and heard this, he said to the disciples, "Let the little children," that's all lives, "come to me, and do not hinder them," that's all lives, "for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these," that's all lives. Jesus further shares with the disciples, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones." Again, that's us, all lives. "For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven." He then goes on to tell a story of a wandering sheep. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? In other words, all lives matter. And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about that one sheep, all lives matter, than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones, black lives, white lives, Hispanic lives, Asian lives, police lives, LGBT lives, women's lives, so forth and so on, should perish, because all lives matter. By now I hope you see where I'm going with this and you are not thrown by the use of biblical scenarios to illustrate my point. The message that Jesus was seeking to convey to his disciples then is why I side with the All Lives Matter crew now. Just think about how ridiculous it is that we have to carve out a slogan per group about whose lives matter. It's ashamed that groups of human beings have been made to feel and are being made to feel that their lives do not matter. As a human race, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves for consciously or subconsciously sending messages that any life does not matter. We are all human beings who actually have more similarities than we do differences. Instead of celebrating our differences, we are always vilifying them. When does enough become enough? The differences that we have do not make any life more or less valuable. So at the end of the day, I stand with the All Lives Matter crowd, and we as a people need to recognize that so that all of the individual groups will not feel the need to have a hashtag yelling at the world that their lives matter. Something to critically think about. I invite you to join me each Saturday at 6 o'clock a.m. as I web stream around the world on gobrave.org and locally in northern New Jersey and New York on WP 88.7 FM as, again, host of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. I also invite you to follow me on Twitter at ThinkCritical01 and Reading Circle 01.